This is the Nathan, Nat and Sean podcast.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to a little podcast, post-show podcast. We are getting ever closer to our holidays, of course. We have a few weeks off at the end of next week, July 4, for those of you who might not be tuning in on this very day that we recorded it. And I am due to fly to Turkey via Dubai. And, of course, there's a little bit of stuff going on in the Middle East. I spoke to somebody yesterday who they're also doing pretty much exactly the same trip that I'm doing, except they're leaving tonight.
And
Okay.
Turkey borders.
Yeah, so the borders are open, but the border, Turkey borders great countries like Syria and Iran.
Yeah.
What could go wrong? And when you look at I've been checking the Smart Traveller warnings. They're just saying don't go within 10 k's of the border at this stage. Fun. So I was talking to this woman yesterday because, of course, she's due to fly via Doha tonight, and with the whole family, so mum, dad, 2 teenage girls, and they were like we're calling it off. We're not going to go. Oh,
Yeah.
we'll go. Oh, we're not going to go. We're not
Yes.
going to. And she said, but yesterday she still hadn't even started packing because everything was so up in the air about it. We've got so many decisions to make. But as of last night, she's like, no, we're going. Because the theory being that if there was a problem, the airline wouldn't fly.
Yeah, I totally agree with
Yes.
that, Nat. And I think you've been looking forward to this trip for a long time. How long have you had this book for?
Oh, 6 months?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And for 6 months, you've already pictured what you're doing. You've got
Oh, it's
tours
planned
booked
to
and all that kind of stuff.
I'm doing an organised tour for part of it, and then I'm meeting a friend in Greece. So I've got internal flights in Turkey, got flights between Turkey and Athens. I've got a food tour booked. I've got ferries in Greece booked. There's a lot of accommodation in all these different places, different islands and all that sort of stuff. It is actually planned meticulously, and then not much of that is refundable. And unless now I can't claim it on travel insurance just because I don't want to go. That's not grounds enough. There has to be either like the airline cancels and I can't go, or the situation escalates and the government says you can't go. They're the only reasons now. I can't just go because I'm not feeling the vibe.
Yeah, no, I agree.
But I am totally feeling the vibe still, so it's fine.
Yeah, and you're right, because the airline, if they decide not to fly because
That's
of safety reasons, then they don't know what's going on. Can
That's
I get
right.
into the internal flights of Turkey?
Yes.
So there's sometimes you forget that it's different states and different parts
Yeah.
in other countries
Yes.
for some reason.
Yes.
So what's a long flight? You go to the airport. Where are you going in
So
Turkey?
I'm flying. So I'm
what
doing
kind
a
of
small
distance?
group tour that goes around a little bit, but ends up in Cappadocia, which is where the
Hot air ballooning, caves.
the ballooning and the troglodyte caves and all that sort of stuff. And then I'm flying from there back to Istanbul, which is about an hour and 10 minutes. I'm flying with Turkish Airlines, which was just named as like the 5th best airline in the world. So
Yeah, cool.
yeah.
And then when you
I'll be
go,
fine, is what I'm saying.
then when do you head to the Greek islands?
So about midway through, almost 2 weeks in, basically, I then head to Athens for a couple of days, I've got a friend that lives in Switzerland, going to meet up with her, and then we've got a couple of days in Athens, and then we catch a ferry to Paros.
Hey, the Greek islands, how many of those pool parties in your bikini are you going to during the day and just getting on the...
I think it's not going to be that sort of Greek island experience. I am having one night in Ios, which is a party island.
Yeah.
That's like our last little stop. Then we go back to Athens for one night before coming home.
Do you reckon you'll get on the pingers?
Do you know why? Do you know why I'm going to Ios?
No, tell me.
I am going to Ios to catch up with our friend Theo Kaligarakis,
Are
the
you?
pizza guy who has a pizza shop on Eos.
How cool.
Nat, that's going to be the
It's
best.
a long way to go for pizza,
Yeah.
I admit. And I also haven't told Theo yet. You tell me this. Should I surprise him?
Yeah.
Would it be funny
Yes.
just to walk in, but then walk in, I'm only there for one night and Discovery's not working that
Yeah,
night?
you got to tell.
No, that's terrible. So
you got to tell him.
How can you track him down? Have you got him
I
on
don't
Snap
know.
Maps?
On what?
Yeah.
Snap Maps?
Yeah, I've
Snap
got
Maps.
Theo Kaligarakis.
My wife can tell where everyone is on Snap Maps.
Well, can she find out if Theo's going to be there? He seems, from what I can gather, he works every night.
Can you throw something out to him so he tells you about his work? Because you got him on Facebook?
Insta, yeah.
Insta. Just throw him out there. Hey, how's it all going? How are you going about?
I mean,
I reckon a surprise would be he would just blow his mind.
I know. So hopefully he's not listening. Don't tell him. But yeah. So part of me, but also that would be funny to go all that way to see somebody and they're not there.
And you ask for a
they're
Hawaiian
not
pizza and your friend, he's not there.
Yeah. I'm not going to get a Hawaiian pizza. He makes better pizzas than that. But also then I could just send him a photo of me eating pizza in his shop and he's not there.
Funny, but if you give him a heads
Yes.
up, he's going to treat you like royalty.
Oh, you're going to have the biggest night because Theo can throw one back.
I know.
Yeah.
I know.
Oh,
Well,
I'm really happy for you.
yeah, that's going to be great, isn't it? So, yeah, fingers crossed I get there.
Nathan, Nat, and Sean podcast.
We were just talking before about that flight that went from Perth to, it was supposed to go Perth to Paris on that direct route. And then, of course, the hostilities broke out and the Iranians were bombing US bases in Qatar and they went, oh, no, that's too scary for us and turned around and came back 15 hours in the air and you're no closer to your destination at the end of it.
You're in the
Can
same
you
spot.
think of anything worse than that?
I'm that type of person because I don't have any patience. I get really wild about that. And I've
I know, but
travelled
you can't
overseas.
change
I know you
that.
can't change it. There'll be a moment where I settle down. Maybe that's a few drinks in. But I was thinking about, because that's a bad situation when you're on a plane for so long, you're not going anywhere. I've travelled over to the US and that, and long flights, and they've been okay. But a shorter flight, which was 5.5 hours coming from the Gold Coast to Perth, was the
Yes.
worst flight I've ever had because I was so hungover,
Yeah.
Ross.
Yes.
And I was sitting amongst the Fremantle Dockers family, and I was sweating.
So you weren't a
bullets.
player at this
Yeah.
stage.
No, I
this
finished.
is post
I was working
career.
here.
Just struggling.
Yeah,
I
and
was
you'd-
really
You'd
struggling.
also smashed your face.
Smashed me face.
by doing a bad worm on the dance floor.
100%.
Stuck in a chair, you can barely move.
Yes, and we're probably about. I remember looking at the watch and I was like 3.5 hours in, and then going, no, this is a 5.5 hour flight, and I'm losing it. So I go up to the back of the plane, and then I just asked the lady for a sick bag. And I had to sit up the back, and they took care of me.
Yeah.
I've never been so embarrassed in my life.
Like you were sitting next to the kids drawing in the booklets.
No, I was actually sitting, where the toilets are and where they put their seat down
Yes.
when they've got some downtime.
Yep.
Yeah, I was just in that area, and I sat with them for a while, and I got a
Had some
glass of
stuffies.
water and
Yeah. Colouring
a
books.
sick bag as an adult.
Sean, if you were on one of those direct flights to, say, Paris or London or Rome, they do them from here, and they said 7.5 hours in, we're turning around. So by then it's probably 2:00 in the morning, your time. But when you're turning around and going back again, are you then just hitting that button like, you better booze me up
Absolutely.
because
Yeah.
I've got to get my money's worth out of this somehow?
100%. And it reminds me of when I first started playing and I went on the plane for a first time and we were allowed to drink. And I just thought, well,
You were allowed
free.
to drink on your way to a game.
no, sorry, on the way back.
Okay.
It was different. Yeah.
Even now, they wouldn't let you do that, would they? Because it'd be all about your injury
no, not at
recovery and
all.
that kind
You
of thing.
wouldn't even dare to have done it 10 years ago.
No.
But this is
Yeah.
a long time ago.
This is in the
Mate,
the dark ages,
Wild, wild
basically.
west.
Yeah, I was at Ansett, Golden Wings Lounge.
And said,
Mate, I was allowed her in there. I was like, I'm from Willetton, mate. I'm like, can I take what? I can have any of this.
yeah.
Jeez,
Man's not hot.
all the boys are out. Yeah, man's not hot. I'll meet the boys at Arcadia. I'll be steaming by the time I walk in here.
What do you mean they're free?
Yeah. Can you imagine that? That is bloody brilliant. Blew me socks off.
Yeah.
What about you, Ross? You've had a really bad flight?
Hungover would be, that's probably the hardest stuff. Anything long.
Coming back from Mexico?
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay. On the way back from Peru, right? We did the Inca Trail. My mate, he injured his ankle very bad. But we get to the airport and we are so hungover. We'd been in, I think, Lima, and you get, because it's the altitude,
Yeah, it hits you.
one drink's
It
like
does.
7.
Yeah.
And this is a different Ross, by the way. We were.
We missed this, Ross. Keep going.
I don't. And we were extremely hungover. We get to the airport, and there is a line in the airport that goes out the airport door and snakes around for about 100 metres. Tim and I look at each other, and we're like, oh, man, this is not good. This is not good. And so I go, just sit here next to this pylon. I got this. I go into the airport. My mate, he's broken his leg. We're travelling, hiking. He can't walk. No worries, sir. We got it. They bring out a wheelchair.
Straight at the front of the line.
Put him in it. We avoid every single line. They fill out our paperwork for us. Boom.
You didn't have a broken arm.
No, well, the leg, he couldn't walk.
Yeah, I know, but
No, but you
filling
can fill
out
out
the
your own
paperwork.
forms.
Yeah, we didn't know. They just did it. And they upgraded us, so we had more leg room for his poor injured foot.
What was
which
the
injured.
airline?
Oh, it was one, not a known one. But yeah, it worked out pretty well.
Hey, Nat, you mentioned flying into Athens, and I remember flying out of there in particular, and I went to the airport to, we'd been to an island called Kos, which you've been to.
Yes, I've been to
before.
Kos too, yeah.
And when I got to the airport, this was before the Olympics, so the joint
it's
was
been upgraded
run
significantly
down.
since then, yeah.
Ross, there was like vagrant animals walking outside.
Yep.
And the thing that blew me away is we flew, is it Olympic Airlines?
Olympic, yeah.
And people are having darts and
Yeah.
stuff
On
like
the plane.
This is
mate.
a while ago. Things are a bit different
Yeah,
now.
yeah. And I remember, the lady going down the walkway, the hostie, and, people got their baggage up, and she's just jamming this thing. This is how shit the plane was, just jamming this thing. I thought, we're in for an absolute stinker here. And people on the darts just around you.
Olympic used to fly to Australia. I don't know if they still do, but in and out of Melbourne because, of course, big Greek population in Melbourne. And one of my friends was on one of those planes, and when they took off, or several of the overhead locker doors just fell open while they're taking off. And then somebody asked for a bassinet for the baby, like they were in that front, that bulkhead seat, and they wanted a bassinet. And the stewardess came back with a cardboard box.
No. Like a rescue animal.
That's great. That's great.
Good times. Good times. All right. Well, happy travels to me.
Yeah, sure.
And
luck.
everybody else who is headed to Europe and is a little bit concerned about Doha and or Dubai flying through there because it is a bit too close for comfort.
Yeah, and a lot of people have made a significant investment to be able to do this. So
We're just going
good
to
luck.
stay strong and have a good time.
Nathan, Nat, and Sean is a Nova podcast. For more great comedy shows like this, head to novapodcasts.com.au. Nova.